Hello everybody, my name is Ratnos, and today I wanted to make a video, Path of Exile video, of the build that I have started this league with. If you don't know anything about Path of Exile, sorry, this is not going to be a beginner-friendly video. I might make some of those at some point, but this ain't it. So, this build is a champion, because we are abusing the incredible defensive powers of the champion. And then we're using a Claw and Spectral Helix as our attacks. This is what this looks like if you get the MTX. It looks pretty cool. And we're scaling damage with poison. So a lot of neat things about the way this build works. A lot of defensive layers going on here. And to help me illustrate this, we'll just pop into a quick Awakening 8 Cirrus. I've got some other footage as well that I'll play later in the video in the background, but this in particular should be pretty good for explaining just how tanky this thing is and for showing what it can do. It can do like 300 stacks of Scourge, which is, I've found out, is as high as it'll go without too much trouble. I'm going to try and tank some dumb stuff in this video, so I just leveled up right before I started recording this, but it really doesn't die very often at all. And so, okay, defensive layers. We're playing a champion. We have a boatload of armor and evasion, thanks to Grace and Determination, those two of our auras that we're running, plus Defiance Banner. So this is a pretty standard package that you're seeing a lot of champions run this league, and it means that with nothing going on, I've just got a bunch of armor and evasion, and with flasks, that'll go up to even more. The flasks increase this a lot. So that is a nice bit of defense. So let me just go and start fighting Cirrus for the next bit. So that, plus the inspirational aura effect increase from champion, is further increasing damage there. And so degens are something that you can't just survive forever, but pretty much everything else you can kind of tank it without too much trouble. We also have, so we have First to Strike, Last to Fall, which is, let's see, this thing. Gain Adrenaline and heal for a bit when you reach low life. We have Molten Shell, you can see that's proccing, helping me stay alive, preventing a lot of damage because I have a lot of armor. So Vol Grace and Vol Molten Shell are buttons that can be pressed to make you even tankier. You don't really need to use those against a lot of stuff, but you can, especially if you're trying to tank something that, you know, really shouldn't be tankable. We're playing champion, so we got Fortify, plus 500 flat armor and evasion from here. Oh, standing in a degen. Pop a life flask. Okay, then we've got a bunch of Chaos Res. My build just has a bunch of Chaos Res because my items crafted for other reasons ended up coming with Chaos Res as well. Is he not going to cast Die Beam? Do I need to do some damage to make him do Die Beam? I think I might. Oh, there it was. Okay. Yeah, okay. And then we've got Ghost Shrouds. Ghost Shrouds are providing us with this energy shield recharge every 2 seconds. Whenever we get hit, we lose a Ghost Shroud and gain basically all of our energy shield back. The energy shield all comes from the gain life as extra maximum energy shield craft here. And that, plus the Ghost Shroud node up here on the tree, means that, yeah, anytime we do end up getting hit by something, it's going to top our energy shield. We also have capped spell suppression. Well, not capped, actually, but it's capped as long as I'm full health and using my phasing flask. So, well, if you're playing hardcore, you want to actually cap that, but I'm not. The build is very tanky. It's hardcore viable, but I'm not a hardcore viable player. So I'm out here in softcore instead. Okay, got some other defenses. One thing you'll see, flasks. These 3 flasks all gain charges when hit. So I could just press these flasks, and they're actually just going to be up for the entire rest of this fight. Hands off keyboard, and the flasks just keep on going. These ones have reused the end of flask effect. This one has used when charges reach full. Either of those will work for this. And it's really nice because you just press them at the start of a boss fight or the start of a map, and they'll just keep going the whole time. Nothing that can get you there. Ailment immunity. We have from immune to freeze from this Pantheon here. Can't be frozen. We have 50% reduced effective chill here, 60% reduced effective shock here. Then we have 40% reduced effective chill and shock here. So this put together is 100% reduced effect of shock and 90% reduced effect of chill. There are some mobs that have increased effect of those ailments. Oh, actually, I can't send in these. It's the other things I can't send in because this isn't actually a degen, right? Maybe it is. I don't know. I think that's a lot of little hits. Anyways, So there are some mobs that will still actually chill you or freeze you. They're pretty rare, mobs that have increased effect on those, but Cirrus actually is one of them. He has increased effect to chill on one of his lasers, so you can still get chilled under those circumstances. But yeah, you see chilled there, but the shock, he doesn't have increased effect. He has increased duration on shock. So yeah, he's 0% shocked by that. So ailment's pretty well handled there. You still get ignited. I have an ignite flask on my enduring eternal mana flask, and blood, you still can take bleeding. I have corrupted blood immune that I just slot in for Cirrus with this gem. I swap it out. Oh, I'm going to degen. I swap it out for this thing, just a life gem instead when I'm not fighting Cirrus, because it's really not that big a deal otherwise. You'll notice I've used my flasks. These flasks are still rolling. These flasks here are still rolling. They've been going the whole fight so far. These flasks also are just gaining charges, because I have this giving me life flask charges, and this giving me life and mana flask charges. So you can, even on a boss fight, you basically need to keep the enduring eternal mana flask going the whole time. That's maybe a downside of this build, is a lot of people don't like having flasks. They just have to keep doing, but you need this flask to be rolling to be doing your damage, which is certainly a downside. Okay, other defensive layers. We've got cannot be crit. Well, not cannot be crit, but enemies poisoned by you can't deal crits. So it doesn't work against something you're intentionally not attacking, but who would ever be foolish enough to not be attacking something that's dealing damage to them? So this gives you the defense there. We got a bunch of life from the tree. We're in a lifey area of the tree. We have that going on there. Again, we talked about spell suppression. So that is most of the defensive layers that I could think of. So let me just finish this fight. Or I guess we could talk about damage, because damage is something that is maybe a weaker point of this build. So let me show you what it looks like. This is just damage if you're just holding Spectral Helix, right? You can see his health is moving quite slowly. The energy shield, don't look at, right? Because we're mostly chaos damage, so mostly bypassing energy shield. Damage pretty low outside of when we push all our buttons here. So we can go put our totems down, Withering Step, Plague Bearer, Focus. And now all of a sudden, oh, his health's actually moving, right? We're actually doing some damage here. And so we should be able to phase it reasonably quickly. Yeah, look at that, reasonably quickly, with the combination of those things. So I'll just finish this fight now. I'll play some clips from the later phases in the background as I keep talking, though. And we'll talk about all of those things, all those like 5 buttons I pressed to make the damage work there. All right, so let's talk about where the damage is coming from on this build. There's not too much damage in the build, by the way I have it built. There are some ways to scale it further, but you're basically getting a lot from the tree. There's 3 good poison things on the tree with Toxic Strikes wheel down here, the Poisonous Fangs Claw Poison wheel, the Swift Venoms wheel, and the Fatal Toxins wheel. So 4 good poison nodes, assuming you're using claws. Very cool. Poison Masteries are great too. Plague Bearer, maximum plague value, a great one for map clear. And poison duration, huge damage increase on this poison mastery down here. We've also got these claw nodes. Claw nodes, huge defensive masteries, can't be crit. As I talked about earlier, you can also get life gain and mana gain on hit here, just for a little bit more value out of that. Blinding on crit would be good too. Gaining charges on kill would be good. It's all good. I could go get another claw mastery even with this wheel if I wanted to, but don't have enough points. Also have a nice little chaos wheel here. Because I have so much chaos res, I'm taking the chaos damage over time per chaos res mastery, because I have 72 chaos res, because an accident, I actually don't know how I got this much, but if you're playing this, you probably will find you don't have that much chaos res. Just use the effect of Withered instead, and that is basically just as much. It's just only on single target instead of all the time. Okay. So some damage coming from those things. We're scaling damage with stats when we can find them, like Chaos Dot Multiplier, like attack speed with claws, all that kind of stuff. Anything with the word poison, poison duration, those sorts of things. Increased damage even still scales really quite nicely for us. So all of those things work well to further increase the damage, increased chaos damage, just any of those sorts of stats. Some things don't increase the damage of poison and just increase the upfront damage of the hit. And so those are less good. Things that say like attack damage end up... Attack damage is not good. Damage with attack skills, I think, is good. I don't know. Anytime you have a dot build, there's just like half the stats don't actually increase your damage. It's a It's always fun figuring out which those are. Okay, so the main way, though, that we actually do damage is with the Wombo combo. So when we don't have anything going on, we are doing very, 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 very little damage. So let me show you what that looks like. If you don't press anything and you're just standing next to the boss and pressing your Spectral Helix, this is against Cirrus. This would be 135,000 DPS. Very low. By pressing Despair, we're getting that up to 178. By pressing our Wither totems and having full stacks of Withered, plus pressing Withering Step on cooldown, we're up to 325. 5 stacks of Poison on the enemy, that'll be basically always. Wasp Nest is going to further increase this to 413. And then by pressing the magic button, Focus, we will increase that damage to 708. So we burst for 708k against Cirrus, and then when Focus is down, we're back down to 413k. A little bit of ramp up time on this as well, so probably averages out somewhere around that 400k against Cirrus, but against other things like Shaper Guardians, Elder Guardians, you can be above a mil with using your burst all properly and dumping a Plague Bearer into the boss at the start of the fight as well. The way that the focus works is we're taking shock nearby enemies when you focus, we're taking increased duration of ailments you inflict while focused, and these are just huge multipliers to our damage, as you saw on the Path of Building. So you get to a boss fight, you start, if they have a spawn animation, you can start preloading all your Spectral Helixes. In fact, depending on where the boss spawns, you can get them in one of these spots where they'll actually be hit by each Helix twice. And so that can be really good for further increasing your damage, doubling your damage there. It's not reliable to do it against any actual hard bosses, but it works really well against large hitbox bosses, like Katava or whatever. You'll hit him with each of these things is going to hit him 5 times or something crazy like that. So then the boss spawns, and we're going to go Withering Step, Despair, drop our totems, infect with our Plague Bearer, and focus. And so we're pressing like 5 buttons. That's the downside of this build. The single target requires you to press a lot of buttons, and then you basically want to keep pressing those buttons on cooldown. The Plague Bearer, you just keep pressing it when you get to a spot where you're safe to burn the boss and you have your focus and everything like that, and then otherwise you're just letting it incubate. And then you're just pressing focus on cooldown, you're pressing Withering Step on cooldown, you're pressing Despair as it falls off, you're keeping your Wither totems up. You don't have to do all that, but the more you can do of that, the more damage you're going to do. That may or may not sound like fun. The good news is you can focus on those sorts of things because you don't have to focus on dodging die beams or anything like that. You can just do whatever you want. So that is a nice further damage increase. In terms of the gear is really just life and resists on almost every piece. Life and resists. The crafted mods on the helmet and ring are important. Crafted ailment immunity on the boots for reduced effect of chill and shock to combine with our pantheons to make us, chill, shock, freeze, basically all covered. And then, life resist. This is really bad necklace. It's got life resists. Life resists evasion rating. The chest piece, again, you need the free prefix for Gravitius's crafted life. So that's really good for the defensive side of things with the Ghost Dance. The ring, I'm using a Death Rush ring here for Onslaught. You don't have to do this. You can get a Despair on hit ring. That'll reduce the amount of buttons you need to press from Hunter ring. And you can get Onslaught. Actually, you can get Onslaught on kill from the tree if you want. This node here, Graceful Assault, kind of a cool one. I kind of want to start pathing down here. So you could take out these 2 travel nodes and instead travel with these 2 nodes. And then for 4 points, you'd get a bunch of Onslaught effect, armor, evasion, Onslaught on kill, and you could gain 5% of evasion rating as extra armor, which is actually going to increase your armor by about 10% because of the way Determination is gonna work on that. So huge increase there if you want it. If you want your armor to go from 40k to 50k or whatever. But yeah, this is a cool way to get Onslaught and kill if you don't want to use a Death Rush, or you can use an Onslaught Flask. I'm using Quartz and Granite, but you could drop either of these if you wanted. I wouldn't drop Quartz with this League mechanic, but you could, and you could play an Onslaught Flask if you wanted. Okay, what else do we have going on here? So beyond that, damage, the Wasp Nest, really good item, cheap, easy to find in SSF, although you can't guarantee it. You might never find one of these if you're playing SSF like I am, but I found 2 so far. Thrown one in the Krangler and got kind of nothing good. I don't even know where it went, but yeah. Then we've got, yeah, that's the gear. Just life and resist. There are some good ways to upgrade this further if you want. Chaos.multi on gloves, Culling Strike on gloves, or you can link Culling Strike to like Whirling Blades. That's a good way to go about this. You'll free up a gem slot once you can take Despair out of your gems if you use a Despair on hit ring. You could also add Temp Chains and apply an additional curse. Temp Chains is damage increase for poison builds. You can also get Frenzy on hit on your chest, Redeemer mod. You can get generic.multi or chaos.multi on your necklace, generic.multi just on any necklace, chaos.multi on a hunter necklace or an elder necklace. You can get, yeah, those are the main. Oh, and nearby enemies have minus 9% to chaos res on your helmet from the hunter mod pool. Those are all big damage increases, so definitely things worth looking out for. But, you know, those are kind of long-term increases. Once I do that, I think I can roughly double my damage again by doing all those things. So it's never going to be a huge amount of damage as long as you're making like SSF realistic items. If you're in Trade League, you could probably scale this thing reasonably high. You could make a claw, an Elder Claw with good physical prefixes plus the extra dot multiplier for poisons inflicted with this weapon. That claw could be quite a lot better than the Wasp Nest. Otherwise, the Wasp Nest will do the whole game for you. You don't need to swap off this thing ever, but you can if you want. Awakened gems, big upgrades for this build. Basically every gem that you play has an awakened version, so using those, if and when you can find them, will be a nice damage increase as well. But the damage isn't what this build is about. The damage is respectable. It's better than a lot of builds that I've made that are also a lot less tanky, but it is not, it's not a phenomenal damage dealer or anything like that. Okay, so yeah, we've looked at the passive tree a little bit. We're getting our flask. Let's cover again what we're doing here. Reservation efficiency we're finding here for running both Determination and Grace, and actually this gives us enough to run Herald of Agony as well for some damage increase. Flask charges, we're gaining a bunch from these nodes. That's letting us use our life and mana flasks on boss fights, and the Flagellance mod is letting us use our utility flasks on boss fights, so full flask uptime, boss or clear, no problem there. And then, yeah, Ghost Dance. Ghost Dance, we need to path up and get that. And that's really it. If you find a Timeless Jewel, you could make Corrupted Soul happen here. You could also go Divine Flesh. If you do that, you need to stop doing the Ghost Dance thing, which I think is too much of a cost to really do, but you could. I have a lot of Chaos Res. It wouldn't be bad to go Divine Flesh. Or you can take just like a Lethal Pride or a whatever the Mariketh one is and just put them for extra stats where affecting some of these things you already take. So that's some further ways you could improve the build there. Watcher's Eye, of course. A Watcher's Eye could dramatically make this build better. A defensive Watcher's Eye with Determination and Grace stats, or an offensive one with Malevolence stats, and then you could switch to using Malevolence. All could be good. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on for too long. Just wanted to showcase what the build looked like. I'll put a path of building in the description below. It won't be super, guide one. It'll just be what the character looks like right now, but you can take it and run with it as you'd like. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. Let me know if this video is interesting, if you would like to see more Path of Exile content. If you are a new player and have just stuck along this whole way through, not understanding any words that have been said, and would like me to make some videos that help you understand some of the words that were said, you can say that as well, and I'll factor it all in. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.